Hey, I'm Stuart.
And I'm Tommy.
And this is a quick look at the 6 songs and artists that are in the running to represent Ireland as part of Eurosong 2020. 2022. Brendan Murray represented Ireland at Eurovision 2017 in Kiev with the song Dying to Try. Though he missed qualification that year, it seems he's dying to try again with a new ballad he's penned called Real Love. When describing the song, he said it's about not realizing what was right in front of you the whole time, the realization that you should have said what you felt a long time ago.
Having already served as a backing vocalist for recent Irish Eurovision artists, Nicky Byrne and Ryan O'Shaughnessy, Janet Grogan is taking a step forward into the spotlight with her song, Ashes. She describes her gospel-infused entry as all about rebuilding yourself up after disappointment, to not let self-doubt and others bring you down.
Because we are fire, we're lighting up fire, it's ashes of yesterday.
Coming off a successful run on The Voice UK, where she was a finalist, Brooke Scullion is making her first attempt to represent the country with her electropop song, That's Rich. She drew inspiration for the song after reading Blondie frontwoman Debbie Harry's biography, and says she wanted to encapsulate the attitude that she portrayed in her life.
Hey, stupid, that's rich. When it's coming from you, and that's rich. Well, I got nothing to prove, that's rich.
Classically trained soprano Rachel Goode lends her voice to the 80s themed I'm Loving Me. If you notice a characteristically Swedish sound to it, not unlike what we hear at Melodifestivalen, that's because we see some familiar faces in the writing team. Many of them were behind Poland's 2021 entry, The Ride.
Feel the wind in my head, love is still there, but I'm loving me, I am ready.
West End singer and performer Patrick O'Sullivan makes his Eurosong debut after winning RTE's Last Singer Standing. With the talents of songwriters Nicky Byrne, Lark Hay, and Danny O'Reilly, he's presenting One Night, One Kiss, One Promise, which he describes as a story about a modern romance set to a fantastic upbeat melody.
Head tossed and eyes, never wanna close them, time to be honest. One night, one kiss, one promise.
Finally, we have singer-songwriter Miles Graham with the song Yeah, We're Gonna Get Out of It. He says that he wrote it with his kids while in lockdown during the early days of the pandemic in 2020 and feels that it's got a real sense of hope and community about it.
I know that we're able, home and we're grateful, singing. Now we're gonna get out of it. Yeah, we're gonna get out of it. We're gonna get...
So between the 6 songs that we have, we've narrowed it down to 2. One that Tommy feels more strongly about and another that I feel more strongly about. So Tommy, what's your choice for Ireland?
For me, the winner has to be Brooke with her song That's Rich, for various reasons. First of all, she seems like the most polished artist in terms of having great charisma and great stage presence. I've watched some of her clips from The Voice UK and there's no denying that her voice is incredible. She definitely has that star power on stage. She knows how to work a camera. So that's her as an artist. But then also the song I think is perfect for Eurovision. It's definitely a pop song, but it's not too poppy. It's got a bit of an edge and an attitude. The production is great. I love the rock sound, and the elements of the song have plenty of room for like creating a great staging with some choreography and some, I don't know, nice sequences in terms of the spoken word verse. So for me, it's definitely the winner.
I have to say, if I'm speaking from my personal point of view, this would be my favorite as far as like, you know, how I feel about the songs. And you know, it's for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, the attitude that it has, the fact that although it is a pop song, it does have a bit of like an alternative touch to it. And yeah, I like the personality that Brooke injects into it, even just on the studio recording. The thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that I'm not sure if it's as catchy as it needs to be. I do feel like the chorus is perhaps a little bit forgettable. It could be saved again in terms of the live performance, and you know, if they're able to do something really creative with the staging. But yeah, I think that there are a lot of questions with this. I also feel like it would probably benefit from a revamp too, just to kind of clean up the instrumentation a little bit. But obviously you don't want to make it like squeaky clean. It still should have a little bit of that grit, because I think it's one of the things that makes it unique, and it's a great selling point of the song.
I would definitely agree that there is room for improvement in the production, But having said that, I think there's something nice and captivating about the kind of gritty sound and that it's not overproduced, it's not overpolished, and it's not straight from Sweden, very, very super polished high production cut. And I think it's one that will really pop in the live performance. Like you said, it's a bit of a risk, but I think it's a risk absolutely worth taking.
I would be all for taking that risk. But the song that I actually think could go a little bit further at Eurovision would have to be Patrick's song, One Night, One Kiss, One Promise. To me, it's just a little bit further along, and I really like how his voice shines in the song. There's certain moments where he adds certain details, which I find really appealing. And even though like the song is a bit cliche in some ways as far as it having an 80s aesthetic, we've seen that so many times. It's not as in your face as, let's say, Rachel's song, where that song seems to be really all about that 80s feeling. But I like that his voice has character to it, and it would be enough that if let's say that he performs this excellently, I think that a lot of people could get behind it. And honestly, it also seems like this kind of song would appeal a little bit more to the Late Late Show audience.
I agree with you. I think it would. I mean, as we know, the Late Late Show has an older viewing demographic, but the problem there is the Eurovision has a slightly younger and more youth-orientated audience, so that does worry me a little bit. In terms of the song, actually, I think maybe I was sleeping on it a bit, so it wasn't until I started to hear other people's opinions about how they like the song that I started to reconsider and think, okay, am I missing something here? I do see the redeeming qualities in terms of the guitar riffs. The guitar riff at the beginning particularly reminds me of U2 type sound, which is great for an Irish song.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And his voice is outstanding. It's not like, it's a bit too musical theater for me. I prefer a little less of musical theater sound. But I mean, he's recently won a singing competition on RTE, so he's obviously proven his worth in terms of live performance. And obviously the writing credits speak for themselves. Even though it's not like my personal taste, I do see the redeeming qualities, and I can see why many people would gravitate towards it.
Yeah, and honestly, like if it came down to him and Brooke, I do actually think that he might have a better chance at qualifying, even though, as you mentioned, like the Eurovision audience, it's just because I do see that in Brooke's song, I see the potential for it to have like a fate like Croatia had last year, because we know we're going to be getting lots of up-tempo songs with a solo female performer. And yes, it does have that unique gritty style to it, but I think that it could just fall short if, let's say, that the semifinal that Ireland is in ends up being really competitive.
Yeah, I guess I see what you mean, because I guess similar to how Hooverphonic and the Portuguese song did quite well yesterday, because they were in a class of their own, or a theme of their own, or a genre of their own. Maybe he could stick out for those reasons. I don't know. I think I challenge you to think of like what kind of song is similar to that has qualified in the past that you can say, like, I can see that how that would work out. Do you have any similarities?
Like similar to Patrick's song?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not necessarily, but I think that the musical elements just seem to have a little bit more broad appeal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas like Brooke's song is a little bit more like, this is for the Euro fans, right? And I mean, I could be wrong about that. If Brooke is, as you say, just as charismatic and engaging on camera, then yeah, she could absolutely sell it. But I guess it's just, there seems to be less areas where things could fall flat.
I feel like this is where you need to see a live performance, right? This is where you need to see it on TV in a live performance with all the camera angles, and how get a picture in your mind of how it's going to look, how the performer is going to present it. So yeah, a lot remains to be seen. So I'm quite interested to see how the competition pans out on the 4th.
But anyway, those are our thoughts on Ireland's 6 songs that are in the running to represent them this year at Eurovision 2022 in Turin. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you think that it's actually one of the other songs that could be going in the end, be sure to reach out to us on socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to Eurovoxx if you haven't done so already, because we follow all the national selections and we'd love to know what you have to say about those. Until the next video, we will see you then. Take care.
Goodbye.
Really, 2020 hasn't ended.
Yeah, we're all still in 2020 mentally.